Lisa Carter stood outside the Golden Mirage Casino, her breath fogging in the cold night air. The neon lights flashed hypnotically, bathing her tired face in a wash of electric blue and gold. She gripped the last $200 she had in her purse, her fingers trembling slightly, not from the cold, but from the weight of the decision before her.
She shouldn't be here. She knew that.
But desperation changes people. Lisa wasn't a gambler. She wasn't reckless. She was a single mother doing her best to keep her 8-year-old son, Ethan, safe and fed. The past few months had been brutal, rent overdue, medical bills stacking up, and her job at the diner barely covering groceries. She had applied for extra shifts, but with Ethan's asthma acting up, she couldn't afford to be away from home too much. Then, 2 days ago, she found an eviction notice taped to her door. She had begged the landlord for more time, but his response had been cold and final. No money, by Friday, and you're out. And so, here she was.
Her heart pounded in her chest as she stepped inside. The casino was alive with the hum of slot machines, the murmur of late-night gamblers, and the occasional outburst of cheers from a winning table. The air smelled of stale smoke and desperation, a scent she suspected clung to people like her the most. She made her way to the roulette table, her nerves threatening to consume her. She wasn't here to blow her last dollars for fun. She had a plan. If she could just double her money, she could buy time. A week's rent may be enough for groceries. She'd leave the moment she was ahead.
Lisa exhaled, clutching her first $50 chip. Red, she whispered, placing it down. The dealer spun the wheel, and the small ivory ball clattered as it bounced around the numbered slots. Lisa held her breath.
Red 18. She won.
Her stomach clenched as the dealer pushed a neat stack of chips toward her. Her $50 had just turned into $100. Encouraged, she placed another bet. She won again, then again. A thrill shot through her veins. Maybe, just maybe, this was her night. Maybe the universe was finally cutting her a break. But luck, as Lisa would soon learn, is a fickle thing. The first loss came quickly, then another. Within minutes, half her winnings had vanished. Her hands grew slick with sweat as she pushed forward, determined to win it back. The casino lights blurred, the sounds fading into a distant hum as she focused on the spinning wheel, the dice, the dealer's hands.
Her final bet landed.
The dealer spun the wheel. Black. Lisa's heart dropped. She reached for another chip, but her hands found nothing but the empty green felt in front of her. Her money was gone. Every penny. The weight of her mistake crashed over her like a wave, leaving her breathless. Ethan. Rent. Bills. What had she done? Stumbling away from the table, Lisa barely made it to the casino bar before her knees buckled. She slumped onto a stool, burying her face in her hands. She felt sick, numb, hollow. A voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. Tough night? Lisa looked up to see a man in an expensive black suit, a whiskey glass in his hand. He was older, maybe late 50s, with a calm, knowing expression. Before she could respond, he slid something across the bar toward her.
A $1,000 casino chip. Lisa blinked. What? Take it, the man said smoothly. Call it a second chance. Lisa hesitated, suspicion flickering in her weary eyes. Why would a stranger help her?
Her pulse quickened as she studied him. His features, there was something familiar about him. Then he smiled. I knew your mother. Lisa's heart stopped. Her mother had been dead for over 20 years. And yet, this stranger spoke as if he knew something Lisa didn't, something that was about to change everything. Lisa's breath hitched in her throat. I
knew your mother.
The words echoed in her mind, slicing through the thick haze of despair clouding her thoughts. Her mother, Diane Carter, had died when Lisa was just 6 years old, a mystery in her own life, a shadow with no clear past. What little Lisa remembered of her was warm but fleeting. She had spent most of her childhood bouncing between foster homes, with no real explanation of what had happened to Diane, just vague whispers of bad choices and secrets best left buried. But now, in this neon-lit den of chance and regret, a stranger was claiming to have known her.
Lisa's gaze flicked down to the $1,000 chip he had casually slid across the bar. A test? A trick? She had no idea.
She narrowed her eyes. "Who are you?" The man took a slow sip of his drink, watching her carefully over the rim. "My name is Victor Russo, and if you want to know the truth about your mother, you're going to need to trust me." Lisa's fingers trembled as they hovered over the chip. This could be another gamble, another trap. She had just lost everything, and yet something in his gaze stilled her shaking heart. Against every ounce of logic screaming at her to walk away, she picked up the chip. "Start talking." Victor gestured toward a secluded lounge area away from the bustling casino floor. Lisa followed warily, her stomach tight with unease. Once seated, Victor leaned back, studying her as if seeing a ghost. "You look just like her," he murmured. Lisa clenched her fists. "I don't care about flattery. Tell me how you knew my mother."
Victor exhaled, his expression shifting to something almost regretful. "Diane wasn't just a gambler," he said. "She was one of the most brilliant high-stakes players this place had ever seen. But more than that, she was a part owner of the Golden Mirage." Lisa's breath caught. "That's not possible. My mother wasn't rich." "She was," Victor countered, "at least until she wasn't." He reached into the inside pocket of his suit jacket and pulled out a worn leather envelope, sliding it across the table. Lisa hesitated before picking it up. Inside, she found old photographs, faded papers, a handwritten letter signed by her mother. Her fingers trembled as she read.
Her mother had owned a stake in the casino. She had built something here alongside a partner, a man named Peter Langford. Together they turned the Golden Mirage into a booming empire. Until one night, Diane disappeared.
Lisa's throat went dry. She walked away.
Victor's lips pressed into a tight line. "She didn't walk away, Lisa. She was forced out." Lisa's mind reeled. Her mother had never been a criminal, never been a con artist, so why would someone force her out of her own business? Victor's voice dropped lower. She was betrayed by someone she trusted.
Lisa scanned the letter again, searching for a name, for a clue, and then she found it. Peter Langford. Lisa's blood turned to ice. "That name mean anything to you?" Victor asked. She lifted her head, jaw clenched. Peter Langford wasn't just a name she recognized. He was the current owner of the Golden Mirage, the man who had built a multi-million-dollar empire from what was once her mother's business. And he had been the one to erase Diane Carter from history. Lisa's pulse pounded. She had spent years scraping by, barely surviving, while the man who stole her mother's legacy sat on a golden throne. It wasn't fair. It wasn't right. And she had just lost everything in a casino that should have been hers. Victor must have sensed her rage because he leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Listen, kid, I know what you're thinking, but if you want to take back what's yours, you need to play this smart." Lisa's mind raced. "What are you suggesting?" Victor slid another envelope across the table. Inside was a key and a bank receipt.
That key opens a safety deposit box downtown, he said. Inside, you'll find your mother's original stake in this casino. 20% ownership. It's been sitting in limbo all these years, and Peter Langford's been keeping it buried. Lisa's breath hitched. If she had legal proof of ownership, she could demand a seat at the table, or better yet, she could ruin him. But Victor wasn't finished. There's just one problem, he added. Langford doesn't play fair. If he finds out you have this, he won't let you walk away easily. Lisa swallowed hard.
This was no longer just about getting her money back. This was about justice. For her.
For her mother. And for every single mother who had ever been cheated, stolen from, or crushed under the weight of powerful men who thought they were untouchable. Lisa took a shaky breath. Then she pocketed the key. I'm in. The next night, Lisa walked back into the Golden Mirage, not as a gambler, not as a desperate woman, but as someone with power. She had spent the past 24 hours gathering everything she needed, the legal documents, the bank records, and a lawyer willing to fight. She didn't hesitate as she marched toward Peter Langford's VIP suite. Security tried to stop her. She flashed the documents. Tell him Diane Carter's daughter is here to collect. The moment she stepped into Langford's office, the air changed. The man behind the massive glass desk was in his 60s, silver-haired and smugly confident. His eyes raked over her, and then he laughed. Ah, the Carter girl, he mused, swirling his expensive whiskey. I was wondering when you'd show up.
Lisa threw the documents onto his desk. You stole from my mother, and now you're going to pay for it. Langford's smirk faltered as he scanned the papers. Then his expression darkened. I don't know what you think you have here, but I have proof that Diane Carter still legally owned 20% of the Golden Mirage when she disappeared. Lisa cut him off, her voice cold. And since I'm her only living heir, that means I do now. Langford's jaw tightened. This doesn't change anything?
Lisa smiled the same way her mother must have smiled before walking into a winning hand. Oh, it does, because I'm not just here to take back what's mine, she said. I'm here to expose you.
Langford's face paled.
Lisa leaned in. I have Victor Russo on my side. I have legal representation, and I have a press release ready to go public tomorrow morning. She let the weight of her words settle in. Langford gritted his teeth, his empire teetering on the edge. He knew he had lost, and Lisa, for the first time in her life, she had won. Peter Langford sat frozen in his chair, staring at the legal documents spread before him. The confident smirk he had worn just moments ago had vanished, replaced by something Lisa never thought she'd see on a man like him. Fear. Lisa kept her stance firm. Despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins, this was it. She had spent her entire life believing she had nothing, no history, no legacy, no way out. And now she held the power to bring down the man who stole everything from her mother.
Langford's fingers drummed against the desk, his mind clearly racing. Let's not be hasty, Miss Carter, he said smoothly, though the edge in his voice betrayed him. I'm sure we can come to some kind of arrangement.
Lisa crossed her arms. Oh, I agree, but it's not the kind of arrangement you're hoping for.
She let her words hang in the air before stepping forward, placing a USB drive on his desk. This drive contains a full breakdown of your financial records, embezzlement, fraudulent transfers, rigged games, and even illegal partnerships with offshore accounts. And don't ask me how I got them. Let's just say people don't like you as much as you think they do. Langford's face turned red. That's absurd. You think you can just...
Quiet. Lisa's voice was steel. I also have a press release ready to go out at sunrise. Every detail of how you forced my mother out, how you stole her share, how you tried to bury her name. Once this hits, you won't just lose your reputation, you'll lose your entire empire.
Langford was breathing heavily now, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. What do you want? Lisa leaned in, her voice unwavering.
I want everything my mother built.
A muscle in Langford's jaw twitched. He glanced at the documents again, then at the USB drive. For the first time in his life, he was cornered. Lisa pressed on. You sign over full control of the Golden Mirage and step down, publicly. You leave, and you never set foot in this casino again. Langford exhaled sharply, shaking his head in disbelief. You're bluffing.
Lisa pulled out her phone. Am I?
She tapped her screen, opening an email. One click. That was all it would take. Langford cursed under his breath, then slammed his pen onto the desk.
Fine. His voice was low, bitter. You win. Lisa watched as he grabbed the documents of ownership and, with shaking hands, signed his name at the bottom. The moment he lifted the pen, it was done. Peter Langford no longer owned the Golden Mirage, and Lisa Carter did. Lisa stepped out of Langford's office into the bright, dazzling lights of the casino floor. But this time, everything felt different. She wasn't just another struggling mother hoping for a miracle. She was the miracle. Victor Russo stood by the bar, watching her with quiet approval. So? He asked as she approached. Lisa exhaled, shaking her head in disbelief. It's done. He signed it all over. Victor's lips curved into a knowing smile. Didn't doubt you for a second.
Lisa let out a breathless laugh. She had won. But as the initial rush of victory settled, a new realization hit her. She had just inherited a multi-million-dollar empire.
She had no experience running a casino, no idea how to handle employees, finances, or board members. And most of all, she wasn't here to be another Peter Langford. She turned to Victor. I don't just want to own this place, I want to change it. Victor nodded. Then let's get to work. The Golden Mirage had undergone a dramatic transformation in the 6 months since Lisa had taken over. Gone were the rigged games, the predatory loan schemes, the backdoor deals that had made Langford rich at the expense of desperate people. Instead, Lisa implemented fair gaming policies, ethical management, and started charity initiatives for struggling single parents. She turned Langford's private VIP suite into a community outreach center, offering financial counseling and job opportunities for people like her, people who had once believed they had no way out. Lisa never forgot where she came from, and she never forgot who she was doing this for. One evening, as the sun set over Las Vegas, Lisa sat in her new corner office looking over a framed photo of her mother. She traced her fingers over the glass, feeling a lump in her throat.
I did it, Mum, she whispered.
A knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. Come in, she called. Victor stepped inside, holding a manila envelope. This just came in. Lisa opened it and felt her breath hitch. Inside was an official plaque from the Las Vegas Business Bureau recognizing the Golden Mirage for ethical leadership and community impact. But what truly made her heart stop was the name listed as CEO Lisa Carter. A tear slipped down her cheek. She had built something her mother would have been proud of. Victor chuckled. You know, I have a feeling This is only the beginning for you.
Lisa smiled through her tears, determination burning in her chest.
You're damn right it is.
Later that night, as Lisa walked the casino floor, she saw a young woman sitting at a roulette table, her hands shaking as she clutched her last chip. Lisa recognized that desperation, that fear.
She walked over, pulled a crisp $100 bill from her pocket, and slid it onto the table.
The woman looked up in shock. I can't take this. Lisa smiled. It's not a handout. It's a second chance. The woman hesitated, then took the bill with teary eyes.
Lisa walked away, not waiting to see the result.
Because she already knew. This time the house wasn't against her. This time she was the house. And she had just changed someone else's future, just as Victor had changed hers.
What would you have done in Lisa's shoes? Would you have taken the gamble? Let me know in the comments below. If you love stories of resilience, redemption, and unexpected victories, hit that subscribe button. More life-changing stories coming your way.